Most people believe their financial situation should improve as their income increases. But in reality, the opposite often happens. Instead of building more, they end up maintaining more. This happens because their lifestyle expands at the same pace as their income, sometimes even faster. It doesn't feel like a mistake when it's happening. It feels natural. You get a raise, and suddenly upgrading something in your life feels justified. Maybe it's eating out more often, choosing convenience over cost, upgrading your car, adding subscriptions, or simply becoming less strict with spending. None of these decisions feel extreme on their own. In fact, they feel earned. That's what makes this pattern so difficult to catch. It doesn't look like overspending. It looks like progress. But over time, these small upgrades compound into a new baseline of living. And once that baseline is established, it becomes your new normal. At that point, your higher income is no longer creating growth. It's supporting a more expensive version of your life. This is where people get stuck. They make more money, but they don't feel like they have more money. And that disconnect creates frustration. Because from the outside, it looks like progress, but internally, nothing has changed. This is why separating needs from lifestyle is critical. Without that separation, everything blends together, and you lose visibility into where your money is actually going. And when you lose visibility, you lose control. The first step in solving this is clearly defining what a need actually is. Most people blur this line without realizing it. They categorize expenses as necessary simply because they've become part of their routine. But a true need is something required for your life to function at a basic level. Housing, essential food, transportation to work, utilities, and necessary insurance fall into this category. These are the expenses that keep your life stable. Everything beyond that is a lifestyle choice. That doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean you should eliminate it. But it does mean you need to recognize it for what it is. Because the moment you label a lifestyle expense as a need, you remove your ability to adjust it. You make it feel fixed, and anything that feels fixed becomes difficult to change. This is where people lose flexibility. They believe their entire financial situation is locked in, when in reality, a large portion of it is adjustable. That flexibility is where control exists. If you can identify what is truly required and what is optional, you gain the ability to redirect your money intentionally. Without that clarity, every expense feels justified, and when every expense is justified, nothing can be changed. That's how lifestyle inflation becomes permanent instead of temporary. Once you separate needs from lifestyle, the next step is identifying where your lifestyle has already expanded. This requires honesty, not restriction. You're not trying to cut everything back. You're trying to understand how your spending has evolved. Look at your expenses and ask yourself a simple but powerful question. Did this increase because I needed it, or because I could afford it? That question exposes patterns quickly. You'll start to notice where convenience replaced efficiency, where upgrades replaced necessity, and where habits quietly became more expensive over time. Again, none of this is inherently wrong. The problem is that it often happens automatically. There was no decision point, no evaluation. It just happened. And when something happens, without intention, it becomes part of your baseline, without your awareness. That's where control is lost. Because now, your money is being directed by habit instead of decision. And habits, if left unchecked, will always expand to fill available space. That's why awareness is the foundation of this step. Not judgment, not drastic change, just awareness. Because once you see where the expansion happened, you can decide what stays, what adjusts, and what gets redirected. This is where the real shift takes place. Instead of allowing your lifestyle to grow automatically with your income, you begin to control the rate of that growth. You decide what improves and what stays the same. Because the goal is not to eliminate lifestyle upgrades entirely. The goal is to make them intentional. When your income increases, you can absolutely improve your quality of life. But not everything needs to increase at once. You choose the areas that matter most to you and leave the rest unchanged. This creates balance between living well now and building for the future. Without that balance, all of your increased income goes toward maintaining your current lifestyle. And when that happens, your financial position doesn't improve. It just becomes more expensive to sustain. By controlling your upgrades, you create a gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is where progress happens. That gap is what allows you to save more, invest more, and build stability. And without that gap, no amount of income will create long-term growth. This connects directly to how your system is structured. Your spending ceiling becomes even more important as your income grows. Most people let their ceiling rise automatically, matching their income increase. But that eliminates the opportunity to build anything. Instead, you want your ceiling to grow slower than your income. That difference becomes your growth space. It's the portion of your income that doesn't get absorbed by your lifestyle. And that's where your financial progress accelerates. This is how you turn earning more into actually having more. Because now, every increase in income contributes to both your present life and your future position. Your system supports this by maintaining structure. Your categories stay intact, your rules remain consistent, and your awareness continues to guide your decisions. This prevents lifestyle inflation from becoming uncontrolled. Instead, it becomes something you manage intentionally. And that's the difference between people who stay stuck and people who move forward financially. So your action for today is to go through your current expenses and divide them into two categories: needs and lifestyle. Be honest, not extreme. You're not trying to eliminate everything. You're trying to understand your structure. Then identify where your lifestyle has expanded over time. Decide what stays, what can be adjusted, and what can be redirected into your system. Because this isn't about reducing your quality of life. It's about controlling how it grows. And once you take control of that growth, everything changes. Your income starts working for you instead of being absorbed by your lifestyle. Your progress becomes visible. Your system becomes stronger. And for the first time, earning more actually leads to having more. And tomorrow, we're going to show you how to take that extra and turn it into long-term growth that continues building without constant effort. The daily yield. Because we're building real financial progress. One step at a time.